Should I do a little? Shall I do a little intro?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like a little introduction to the podcast.
Yeah, go for it.
Might be interesting. Okay, right. Welcome to the Evolution Productions podcast, where we sit here and just talk about really geeky stuff. I'm joined today by my good friend Jack Hardy, who played the Master in my Doctor Who fan film series.
Hello.
So today's sort of starting theme, I suppose, is I've come up with a fun little scenario just that might lead to some interesting conversations. So the scenario is as follows. Disney have rang you up and gone, basically our last film was terrible and our audience hate us. So we need you, a devoted Star Wars fan, to come in and write a film for us. And you can do anything you want. You can do new characters or already established ones, or you can set it in. You can set it in any area you want. This is your opening pitch. What would your Star Wars film be?
Broom Boy. From the end of The Last Jedi. The kid broom.
That's good. What was his name?
I don't think he had one. I think it was just Broom Boy.
I swear I can't remember who I speak. Someone told me it, like in a like a character encyclopedia book, that he has a name, and it's something ridiculous.
I think I have the Last Jedi encyclopedia somewhere.
Maybe it was you. Maybe you told me what his name was.
Maybe I did.
Who knows? Anyway, so would that be what your film would be?
Yes. Yes. I think he would learn how to use his powers in some way, and combat a threat of some sort. I'm being really vague, but
with his broom. Does he have his broom for the whole film?
Yeah, has a broom. Fights evil with a broom.
Oh dear. So I've actually kind of sat and thought about this for a while. So I mean, I guess I can go first to give you a bit of time to think about it, and also just sort of get a vague idea of what the premise of this is. So my idea that I've had for a while is in Star Wars, regardless of what era we're in, the standards of technology is always the same. So in the prequels, they've all got blasters and all this armor, and then the stormtroopers have got the exact same armor and the same blasters, and just technology never seems to progress in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So my idea for a Star Wars film is it would be set really far in history, and it would take place on one planet, and basically all of the technology is it's in its really primitive stages. So blasters have to be loaded manually rather than just being able to shoot. They actually have an ammunition kind of system to them, and there aren't things like the stormtrooper armor yet. It's kind of in early stages, so it's kind of this rare material that you have for shoulder pads or stuff like that, and the best soldiers are the ones that wear that kind of armor. And then the Jedi are just these crazy mystical sorcerers who just sort of turn up at these fights with lightsabers because they exist, because I think it would be cool to just have them be these mystical figures, and they can just sort of turn up and just absolutely turn the tide of what's happening.
That's a good premise, but I would turn it into a series rather than a film, because that gives kind of more time to explore different concepts with it.
Interesting. So you like a Game of Thrones, but Star Wars. So it's a medieval style thing, and it takes place over a series.
Medieval Star Wars.
That would be cool, wouldn't it?
I certainly watch that.
And could you imagine some of the characters have not even do you remember in Star Wars Rebels, characters have whips that have got lightning and stuff, and it's all ridiculously far off in the future versions of our weaponry. So you could have characters fighting with swords and sticks and spears and shields, and then just a Jedi turns up and can just slice through all of this stuff.
Yes.
I had a really clever visual idea as well for a almost like a form of turret that kind of they have to drag out and like drill to the ground, and then the blasters are like in the shape of an X-wing, so it's like a very early form of that design.
Ah.
Just one of the ideas that was there, and like, again, so it all takes place on a planet, and it's about the conflict that's going on that world. So between the people who are in charge, and then just like there's some sort of local rebellion, and there's a war, and then a Jedi turns up, and both sides just like, oh god, it's over. This is such a mess.
Yeah. One issue I think you'd have with that though is turning the Jedi into like a plot device. You wouldn't want to turn the Jedi into a plot device.
Really. I would barely have them in it. They would be, if it was a series like you said, so you wouldn't see a Jedi until, I would say, the season finale. And so when it looked like this whole fight was lost, this Jedi would just turn up and just switch on its saber, and it would be like wearing proper Jedi robes with like its hood up, and like turn on its lightsaber, and then just absolutely let the enemies just have it, and then just sort of disappear off, like not have a single line of dialogue, just turn up, restore peace to this planet, and then go back to the council.
Kind of like the first bit of the scene with Luke in The Mandalorian.
So yeah, just have him be like a keeper of peace, and not really have that much involvement in the affairs of what's going on. Just sort of turn up and just fix everything and then go. I think would be cool. Interestingly, I've been watching some of the Clone Wars during lockdown. I haven't really been enjoying the first season, but I think some of the ideas that are in the Clone Wars would fit in there as well, because throughout the Clone Wars you can see that the Jedi and the Sith are just sort of fighting for control over as many planets. So you could do something with that. So like a very early form of that, where the Sith are trying to get control of a planet, and then the inhabitants of that world don't like it. That might be cool.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed with Star Wars is it tends to be quite large scale. Like wars waging over planets and star systems, doing something a lot more small scale with like one settlement or one civilization.
Yeah.
And kind of flesh it out a bit more.
I mean, there's so many directions that Star Wars can go that it's always a bit kind of disappointing when they keep coming back to the same characters and the same people who are always super important. Like there was a really strong idea to have like Snoke be almost like a rival to the Emperor. They could have gone down the route of that he was also a very big, imposing, powerful character, and that him and Palpatine had a bit of a rivalry. But then just no, it was just Palpatine the whole time.
It's always Palpatine.
Mind you, I do, regardless of how I feel about that, like it has produced some of the funniest memes, just of people just like quoting that line of like, somehow Palpatine returned. And then it's just random characters from the Star Wars universe just giggling. Oh dear. I'm going to try not to complain about Star Wars too much, because you know what we could do a bit later on, once we do your pitch. I suppose we could go on and we could talk about maybe The Mandalorian, because I don't really think we've had a conversation about it yet.
Because I like The Mandalorian. I like the way it introduced new characters, but also had old characters appear when it was good for the story.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just choose a theme for each episode. Like we could do a Doctor Who one at some point. We could do just films that we've watched during lockdown and just converse, because I'm going mental in lockdown. So what would you do other than Broom Boy, obviously, because that's going to happen. That's coming to Disney Plus next month, I've heard. But
what? Really?
No.
Someone's going to do something with Broom Boy, definitely. I mean, I was joking earlier, but someone's got to do something with Broom Boy.
God, if you're listening and you have the means to create a Broom Boy fan film, you best get on that right now.
Yes, make a Broom Boy fan film. That's something that we need in this world.
Right. So, any ideas then for what you would do?
I don't really know. I'm not very good at coming up with things like that. Like, I'm okay developing currently existing ideas, but coming up with my own ideas, I'm not very good at.
Hmm. I don't know why I agreed then. That was a bit rude. Oh
Ugh.
dear. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Should we have a bit of a discussion then about the Mandalorian?
Yes, I think we should, because I like The Mandalorian a lot.
All right then. So, I mean, I suppose we should start with discussing season one. So,
Yeah,
what
that
did
makes
you
sense.
think?
It was great. I liked, I liked it all, but I liked that technically he didn't reveal his face to anyone,
Hmm.
but you still got to see him reveal his face. Like, he didn't break his values, he didn't betray his guild or whatever,
Hmm.
but you still got to see his face.
What episode
And
was it in where you saw his
that was
face?
the finale episode, I think.
Oh, was it with the IGN unit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially for something he trusts so little, like droids,
Hmm.
like the bounty hunter droid. That I think that was good. I liked the character development. I
Yeah.
liked his development throughout both seasons
I
and
was actually.
how he became more happy with revealing his face.
Hmm. I was really enjoying it for a lot of the season. I became a bit worried when they introduced this other guy in like the part one of the season finale, and they were like, "Oh, he's the big bad villain," and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna suck, isn't it?" But like, and it did. I was a bit disappointed by him in season one, but then the minute he draws out the dark saber, I was like, "Oh no, he's actually going to be very cool. I forgive everything that just happened. It's fine."
I think that's the first appearance of the Darksaber in live action Star
Yeah,
Wars, isn't it?
there's a lot of that.
That was
Like,
cool.
what was interesting is obviously like me and you, we watch a lot of the expanded stuff. So I've watched Rebels, and I'm starting the Clone Wars. I assume you've seen some of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of the Clone Wars when it was just on TV,
Hmm.
and now I've got Disney Plus and I watch some of it.
Yeah, so obviously, like for us, so characters like Bo-Katan or Ahsoka, when they turn up, it was like, oh my god! But like, I was watching it with my family. We watched all of season one, and then in the run up to season two, that was when we decided to do the rewatch, and we watched season two. So when a character like Bo-Katan turned up, and I knew the importance of that, at the end of the episode, I had to explain why it was important. And like the same with the dark saber, I was like, oh, this is like super important to like the Mandalorians and their history and everything like that, which was certainly an interest. And to be fair, like considering I'm not even a full season into the Clone Wars yet, that's it shows how well it handles all of these things.
Mm. See, I recognised the Darksaber, but my brother didn't initially. He thought it was a lightsaber, and he thought, "Oh, this is a Sith." And
Ah,
and you could see on his face when he realised, "Wait, no, that's a Darksaber. That's very cool."
and they nail everything about it. They got like perfectly that it looks more like a sword than a saber,
Yeah.
and the hilt and the sounds that it makes, they got absolutely spot on.
Yes, I like the sound design of the Darksaber. That was very good.
Hmm. I also remember from I think it is in the season finale, the moment where the other Mandalorian who makes his armor says about him earning his sigil and says that he is a clan of two, and I felt that in my soul as just the most precious moment ever.
Mm.
So anyway, moving on to season two. I suppose we should. I would just say some general statements, but there's some ones that we immediately want to jump to. So we'll start with a smaller reveal before we get to the massive one at the end of the season. So let's start with the smaller one, which is Boba Fett.
Yes, I liked that.
uh,
I can't remember his name, but the actor that played Jango Fett played Boba Fett in.
hmm. What's nice is I've been playing the PlayStation 2 game of Star Wars Bounty Hunter, And the voice actor who plays Django in that is the same actor who plays him in like Attack of the Clones and in The Mandalorian, and he absolutely smashes it. So I think for him to come back I just think it would be nice to bring a bit more personality to Boba Fett, because he really doesn't have a lot to do in the prequels.
Mm.
And so I assume he's getting a spin-off based on the post-credits scene.
Yeah. He is, yeah.
Right. I mean, that'll be certainly interesting to see. What do you think about his armour? Because it threw me off a bit when it was all sort of clean and polished.
I liked it because you've always seen it all battered and worn, but I like the fact that he decided to take some pride in his appearance for once and clean it all up.
So I'm literally just waiting now before we move on to talking about the biggest one. So let's do episode 4 with Ahsoka. What did we think of her?
Ahsoka, that was good. I liked Ahsoka. And also, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The blue guy from Rebels. Thrawn, that's it. Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yes, he got name dropped, didn't he?
Yes. I wonder what they're going to do with that.
See, I don't know if it's like 100% confirmed yet, but there is a lot of speculation that at some point there will be a continuation of the story in Star Wars Rebels. So it certainly looks like Ahsoka is still looking for Ezra whenever the Mandalorian's set. So it looks like this Rebels spin-off will be set between episodes 6 and 7, which will be interesting.
Right.
Did you hear about kind of some of the stuff that went on? It was after The Mandalorian had been filmed, but before it came out.
I don't think so.
So, I mean, I don't know the whole story. I kind of just have like a rough idea. So apparently there was a court case involving the actress who plays Ahsoka. Apparently her and her family had been like psychologically bullying a trans person. And at the time of filming The Mandalorian, she'd been cleared from the case, I believe. But it kind of became publicly known, and a couple of people and like some people calling for her to be fired. And Disney had to be a bit like, well, we filmed the season. I don't really know what you want us to do.
Right, yeah.
And again, you know, I can appreciate that it will cause a lot of anger for people, but you know, if you've been cleared in the eyes of the law, I feel like maybe you're all right with it.
Yeah, probably.
Speaking of people getting fired, obviously there is now a second cast member who has actually been fired from The Mandalorian, which is God, what's her name? She's the rebel woman who has the big gun. Do you know who I mean?
Her.
Yeah, she's been fired.
Oh, I haven't heard about this. What's happened?
Oh God! So she'd made a couple of slightly odd comments on social media, and a couple of people had pointed out that they were a bit insensitive. And it happened a few times, and every time it happened, it would have been reported like Mandalorian star has done this. So Disney were a bit, and they'd warned her about it. However, the post that pushed it over the edge was she said that being a modern day Republican was the same as being a Jew during the Holocaust.
Now, I doubt that. I don't think that they are comparable.
Weirdly, like, it is an unacceptable thing to say. But I'm of the impression that she didn't. I think she posted that genuinely not thinking about the repercussions. I think it was genuinely a stupid thing rather than intended to cause offence. And I think that, I don't know, it's so strange to see in the world that a stupid thing that you said that you just didn't think about could result in you losing your job and your career in acting just being screwed up, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's off the Mandalorian. If there's going to be a season 3, she's not a part of it. And apparently there was going to be a spin-off story for her, which is just scrapped now. So interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, on a more positive note, let's talk about the big reveal in the season finale of the returning character, Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
At what point did you know it was him?
See, when the X-Wing flew past, I was like, oh, but then I kind of forgot about it. And then when the cloaked figure with a lightsaber started cutting down all the droids, I was like, oh, the X-Wing was Luke's. That's Luke. It just suddenly twigged that was what the X-Wing was.
It took me a while because I saw the X-Wing go past and I was like, okay, that's weird. Why would one X-Wing turn up? But then I noticed that Yoda was looking, or Baby Yoda, or Grogu, whatever the hell it's called, looked at it and I was like, oh, it's a Jedi. And then I was like, wait, a Jedi with an X-Wing? And then I was just a bit confused. And then we saw obviously the cloak, and me and my dad just looked at each other in kind of just disbelief. And then the moment where I fully knew was when you saw the glove and the hilt. And then it was just like, we're doing this. And then just that shot where the green lightsaber is on and he's just absolutely slicing them up. It is the Rogue One Darth Vader scene for Luke.
Yes.
And as a massive, I love green lightsabers, and it's been so long since we had a good action scene with a green lightsaber. So this scene was incredible. However, I feel like we do need to talk about after the incredible action scene, the questionable CGI.
I thought it was alright.
I mean, here's my thing. I don't hate it, and I've seen that people on the internet, they really don't like it. I can excuse it for the value of that moment and what's happening, but when you look at Rogue One, Grand Moff Tarkin in that, oh god, and who else did they do it with?
Leia.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's not quite as good. He looks like Luke from Star Wars Battlefront 2, whereas Moff Tarkin was spot on.
He was very good though, Talkin. He did look good.
His motion and his eyes were a little bit off at times, but facially he looked exactly like he should. Whereas Luke looked when he put the mask down, or the hood rather, it was great. But then when he was talking, it was a bit odd. And I don't know, thinking about it, it almost doesn't feel like the Mandalorian met Luke Skywalker. It kind of feels like he met an effect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But again, like I said, I think that for the moment, I don't think that CGI lets it down.
It's what's the word? It's passable.
Yes, definitely.
It's okay. It's good enough.
So just should we do just a quick closing discussion, just because I think it links in quite nicely with what we've been discussing today with The Mandalorian. So the sheer amount of other films and series that have been announced for Disney+.
Yeah, they added a bunch of new stuff.
Out of interest, have you watched WandaVision?
No, I haven't.
See, the last episode is this Friday, and I think it would be well worth you watching because it's really good. But I mean, anyway, if you do decide to watch it, we'll save that for another episode. But more sticking to Star Wars, because that's what this episode has been focused on. So what do we have? We've got an Ahsoka series. There's the Clone Wars sequel, which is The Bad Batch, which I haven't seen Clone Wars Season 7, so I don't know who these people are. I assume it's a group of clones who didn't follow Order 66.
I think so.
That's the impression I get. And then there's a there's a Knights of the New, or I can't remember what. I think it's something based on the New Republic. So this will be after Episode 6, and kind of the rebellion in that era,
Ah,
which might be interesting. Then there's the Cassian Andor series.
there is.
Yeah, we're getting a
I hadn't heard
series
about
about
that.
him before the events of Rogue One, like him being a spy and the things that he did for the rebellion that he's not proud of.
Ah. See,
There's
I'm really behind on Star Wars news. I hadn't heard about any of this.
there's a series that no one knows anything about called The Acolyte, which all we know is that it's set pre-Episode 1.
I had heard something about a pre-episode 1 thing happening.
I'm pretty sure there was some other. Oh, there's a film that's been announced called Rogue Squadron, which is obviously about pilots.
Right. That should be interesting.
It's directed by the woman who directed Wonder Woman, both of them. Which, I mean, I thought the first one was good. I wasn't a fan of the second one. However, all of the stuff related to kind of flying and the shots and the approach it takes to that lifestyle is brilliant. So I think her directing a film about Star Wars pilots will be a treat.
Yes. Kenobi.
Oh yeah, which obviously Ewan McGregor and oh god, what's his name? Hayden Christensen are both returning for.
Wait, Hayden Christensen's returning as well.
Oh yeah, we're getting Obi-Wan and Anakin back.
Oh, awesome! That's good. I'm happy about that.
I had and interestingly, he's not listed as Anakin. He has cast as Darth Vader.
Oh.
So I don't know if he's just going to be in the series, or if we are fully going to get to see them two like cross paths again.
I hope so. I hope we see them cross paths.
Which would be cool, because if you're in A New Hope, Vader stops before he says since. So they do have that wiggle room to introduce another time where they either met or fought. Could you imagine them fighting?
That would be impressive.
If we actually got like a full-on lightsaber duel between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader.
Oh, I really hope that happens.
I mean, that's the series that I'm most excited for, without a doubt.
Yeah. I've seen aerial photos of the set design for the Obi-Wan Kenobi one, and it looks good. It's set on Tatooine, or at least the bits I saw were set on Tatooine, which makes sense.
Do you think we'll see Darth Maul?
I hope so, because after the scene in Solo, they have to do something with that, surely.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you've seen Rebels, you know what happens. He by the way, spoilers for Star Wars Rebels here. Spoilers for everything else we've talked about, by the way. If you didn't know that by now, after we spoil everything in The Mandalorian Season 2, then I don't know what to tell you. But have you seen this episode?
Yes.
So, yeah, so you know that he obviously goes to Tatooine and he finds Obi-Wan, and they kind of have a fight. It's over very quickly, but I love that fight. I'll send you a video on it. There's a very clever one that discusses how Obi-Wan kind of takes his traditional fighting stance from the prequels, and so does Maul. And then Obi-Wan changes his stance to his original trilogy one, and Maul doesn't change his stance to show that like Obi-Wan has progressed and he's developed and he's let go of the past, and Maul is still stuck as he was in the prequels, and then he just gets immediately annihilated.
Yeah.
It's very clever. But yeah, it'd be interesting if we do actually get to see that fight in live action, or if we just get to see anything of Maul. I think would be cool.
I wonder what they're actually going to do with the whole thing. What's actually going to happen within the series?
There's it will presumably be him trying to protect Luke. Maybe we'll see some Qui-Gon. Who knows?
That would be interesting.
What I would love to, I mean, it probably won't happen because this is just my own personal delusions because I really want Starkiller to be back in Star Wars. But he's around at the time, and he could technically be considered an Inquisitor. So, if they wanted to go down that path, we could see Starkiller get sent to Tatooine, which he does in the game. So he goes to Tatooine and then finds Obi-Wan and kind of has a fight, and then we actually get to see Starkiller die in canon, but that leads Darth Vader to find out where they are. Who knows? They could do anything, but it's just my own personal, deep-rooted love of those games that makes me want any form of Starkiller to be in media related to Star Wars again.
That would open up some more ideas for series or other shows.
And he is an Inquisitor. He was the first Inquisitor. Like, he was taken when he was a child. He was trained by Darth Vader to kill Jedi. That is an Inquisitor.
Yeah, that's what they did.
And so I don't understand why Disney, as priority one, as soon as they got their hands on Star Wars, they went, yeah, all that expanded stuff that you Star Wars fans seem to really love didn't happen.
Maybe they did it just to allow them to make their own stuff without all of that getting in the way.
My opinion is still that until Disney make a piece of content that actively contradicts those games, they still happened. That's my belief.
Fair enough.
Was there anything else that was announced? There was Lando.
I did hear about that. I didn't know if that was a shitpost or not.
I think it's happening. Who knows? I don't really know what you could do. I assume it will be Donald Glover from Solo playing a younger Lando, which might be cool.
Yeah.
Because he was brilliant. Like, he was the best thing in that film. God, I'm sure there was some other stuff. Hang on, I can open it up, I suppose. Star Wars announcements. Right, let's go. So what was announced? Here we go. What have we missed? Oh. So there's Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, that's what it's called. Ahsoka, Andor, Obi-Wan, Bad Batch, Star Wars Visions.
Oh.
Which is apparently it's like an animated short series. Interesting. Lando the Acolyte and Star Wars A Droid Story.
Oh dear.
What is that?
I kind of hope it's not R2-D2 and C-3PO, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know if I could tolerate a whole film of C-3PO. Especially under Disney, because under Disney he became the most intolerable thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I've heard that that's going to be an animated series. That's literally all I know about it.
Yeah, if that's animated.
But that's a lot of announcements. So there's certainly a lot in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that was a good first episode. So, out of interest, is there anything you want to talk about in the next episode?
I'd like to talk about Doctor Who at some point, but I still haven't watched that new one.
Really?
So I need to watch that. I need to watch that, but then we can talk about Doctor Who.
Honestly, it's the best episode of her era so far.
Okay, now I really need to watch it.
So I think it's worth watching. So yeah, once you've watched that, I suppose we could do a bit of a Doctor Who Series 12 review. We could probably I think we should talk about that episode first, because I'll have something nice to say. Because once we get on to talking about Series 12 and just the current state of Doctor Who, there'll be no coming back to a positive mental space. So I feel like we should start positive when we talk about Doctor Who.
Okay.
But we'll save that for when we get onto it. But for this week, that's been the Evolution Productions podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll be doing some more of these just to provide a bit more content for the channel, because I know that I have massive breaks between each of my projects because they take a while to make. So this might just be something a bit nicer to upload a bit more regularly. So until next time.